Oh, hi, Mark. Well, does anyone know what happened in this movie? Anyone at all? Because I don't. I'm lost. Kill Her Goats is a 2022, what it can loosely be referred to as a slasher film, and it makes no sense. It makes negative sense. And if you say that you have any idea what happened in this movie, you're lying. You're just lying to yourself and others, and I would ask you to seek help for that weird lying problem we have. Because I have. This is going to be a full blown spoiler review because who the fuck wants to see this movie? Who wants to see this review of this movie? The answer is nobody to both questions. This review will go unwatched in the endless dark void of YouTube's moist recesses, and I just said the word moist, so if anyone was watching, you tuned out now. Just like this movie, pretty much. I do own a copy of this movie, but it's over there on that end of the bed, and I'm not gonna put the effort in to go grab the copy of the movie. Nope. Absolutely not. This movie doesn't deserve for me to hold up my physical copy and talk about the movie while I hold up my physical copy. It won't happen. Now, what I'll say in this movie's defense, because this movie isn't all bad, it's not 100% in one direction. I think a lot of people have torn this movie to pieces because it is pretty bad. It's not a good movie. However, I have seen a lot worse. The last movie I reviewed on this channel, for instance, Violent Shit the movie, that's probably the worst movie I've ever reviewed in channel history. And probably the worst movie I will ever review, because I don't go out of my way to put myself through watching movies like that. But this movie, on the other hand, was also pretty bad. And it was bad for a lot of the same reasons as Violent Shit the movie. It was a really boring film that just relied way too much on showing you tits. It was like, hey, I heard you like boobs. Is that true? Because I know that's kind of a niche thing. You know, not a lot of horror fans like boobies. But I heard that you are a man of culture, and you like some boob. You want to see some boobs? I'll show you a lot of boobs. There's. Got another pair of boobs? Because we have boobs. We got those. And that's really all this movie has. It's a lot of... That's how it chooses to attempt to keep your attention. The unfortunate thing is that doesn't work. That doesn't work, movie. And the movie doesn't really comprehend that. What's really weird about this movie, too, is the director. I forgot his name. It's like Steve Walsh, I don't know. It's something like Brandon Walsh, I don't know. It's something like that. You can look it up if you really want to. But what's weird is he seems like he actually might give a damn about the movies he's making, because in this movie there's a woman with a t-shirt on. It says Muck on it, and she also has sweatpants that say Muck on them, and Muck is another one of his movies. There's no way he's still making money off that movie. I think it came out in like 2013 or some shit. So it's as though that he's actually proud of that product. I've never seen Muck. I have read a review or two, and they say pretty much the same things that I'm critiquing about Kill Her Goats. That it just, there's a lot of boobies, there's a lot of titties, and that's kind of it. But that's not the only thing that's wrong with this movie, not by a long shot. But before I get into what's wrong with this movie, the titties are nice. They're not bad to look at, alright? I'm not gonna sit here and lie to your face and tell you that I didn't enjoy that aspect of this movie. The breasts are nice. The asses are nice. They are in the movie. That's not why we watch movies, though. That's not why we watch horror films, not why we watch slasher films. And they're in there a little too much. Because, as I said, the movie just kind of relies on that to try and keep your attention. Does not work. But in addition to that, it does have some decent practical effects. This movie really ramped up not ramped up, but it kind of hyped up the practical effects. And like all the advertising and everything, it's like, oh, all practical, no CGI. And while that's cool, the practical effects are there, but they aren't the most amazing practical effects you've ever seen. This is not Terrifier level of practical effects or anything. These are decent practical effects that happen sometimes. You know, you have decapitation, you have an impalement. The impalement was probably the coolest kill in the movie. You have a few hacks, a few stabs, a couple of weird little chainsaw slashes. And by the way, the subtitles, because I watched this movie with subtitles because I'm some kind of odd degenerate, but the subtitles say that that's a chainsaw that the guy has. That's not a chainsaw. I don't know what that is, but I've seen many chainsaws in my life. That don't look like a chainsaw. Maybe I'm an ignorant piece of shit, and that's just like a different kind of chainsaw. But that didn't look like a chainsaw to me. And also, for whatever reason, one of the killers just has like a double-ended chainsaw, like he's fucking goat-headed Darth Maul out this bitch, with like, he's like flipping it around, and for some reason there's sparks. It looks like they put sparklers down, like the fireworks, the little sparkly sticks, you know? It looks like they just kind of put them down the blade of the chainsaw because it was just kind of sparking at 3 points on both ends for no reason at all. It wasn't making contact with anything. It was just kind of doing it. So that was stupid. But, I mean, it looked cool, I guess, you know? Like, who doesn't want to see a double-ended chainsaw being used by a goat-headed killer guy? Kane Hodder's the killer in this movie. Does that matter? No. No, it does not. Because this movie doesn't give Kane Hodder any... It doesn't give him anything to work with. You know, it is a far cry from Hatchet or, you know, the Friday the 13th movies, which, you know, both of those he was great in. But in this movie, the lighting is very dark whenever he's on screen. I don't get the sense that Kane Hodder really needed to be the killer in this movie. I don't at all. It didn't feel like Kane Hodder. It just felt like some jackwagon in a goat mask, and I highly doubt that was Kane Hodder's fault because he's that guy. You know, he is still Victor Crowley. He's still Jason Voorhees. And at the end of the day, I think if the guy directing him was a little more competent, maybe it would have come across a little better. And I don't mean to throw shade at the guy because, like I said, it seems like maybe he likes what he's doing. I don't know. Listen, far be it from me to tell him that he shouldn't make movies like this. Because all of this seemed like a conscious decision. So you do you, boo-boo. I don't know how else to say it. It's... If you want to make nonsensical movies about boobies and a little bit of gore, you go right ahead, duder. But I will tell you that that's not really where the market is. The plot in this film is my biggest issue with it. Because actually, before I just destroy the shit out of the plot, I would like to just say a couple of good things about the movie. Okay? I've already mentioned the boobies. I've already mentioned the gore. All right, those are decent things. The soundtrack is goofy. I actually don't hate the soundtrack. It's stupid and poppy and teeny bopper weird shit, but it works for like a fun little slasher movie. It's goofy. Okay, now would I have preferred a heavy metal soundtrack? 100%, 110%. That would have made a lot more sense. But you know, it is what it is. I don't really feel either way about it. So that's something that I'm not like, this is garbage. And then the movie didn't look terrible. I didn't want to rip my eyeballs out of my head, throw them on the ground, stomp on them while I watched the movie. Which there are a lot of movies, especially in the slasher genre, that look that way. Even movies I like, movies like 100 Tears, that's a movie I like, and it looks terrible. Sweatshop, another slasher movie that just looks absolute dog water. Not as bad as 100 Tears, but you get the point. So I mean, it has a leg up on some of its slasher counterparts just in that department alone. But here's my biggest issue with the movie, and that is the plot. The plot is absolutely dreadful. I have no idea what's going on. None. They give you some vague backstory about the house's kind of history. You're led to believe it's a violent history. And then they give you some mere mention of one of the guys being jealous that she got the Tup House or something, which is what the place is called, the Tup House. And then you get all these goat-headed people murdering her. And I don't know why there's a focus on goats. I don't think it explains that in the movie. They're just a bunch of goats. There are actual goats. There are men wearing goat heads. There's a lot of goats. And I don't know where that came from. I really don't. And yeah, as well as the title, Kill Her Goats. I don't get it. And then there's a point in the movie where our main character that we've been following this whole time seems to just mentally snap and start murdering people. I have no idea what happened. I don't know. 1 second she was killing the killer. That made sense. And she was going a little ape shit, hacking him over and over again. And her sister's like, hey, you shouldn't do that. He's gonna bleed out. Just let him bleed out in peace. She's like, he'll bleed out in pieces. And she keeps hacking him. And then, out of nowhere, she tries to, decapitate her sister or something. And then she just kind of goes on a murder rampage and kills the rest of her remaining friends. Why? Can you give me an explanation, movie, please? Because, I didn't hate it up to that point. As I said, it's a bad movie, but it has little, I think it's just dumb enough to where it's kind of entertaining, up to that point. It's kind of like one of those silly, stupid slasher movies that's terribly written, and the dialogue is just wow. But these dumb characters are mildly amusing to watch, and it's a little fun, I guess, in a minor way. So I didn't hate it up until this point, and then this happens, and I'm left confused, not knowing what the hell is going on. And I've read, the main review on IMDb. He doesn't seem to know what the hell happened in this movie either. And I can't find anything as to what the hell happened at the end of this movie. I even looked it up just on Google, what happened at the end of Kill Her Goats. Google doesn't know. We're all clueless. This movie doesn't explain jack diddly shit to you. You don't know. You don't know anything. If you did get it, good for you, buddy. I'm happy for you. But myself, I have no idea what happened at the end of this movie, or for most of it. I don't know why these people are coming to kill her. There was something about an inheritance. Maybe I wasn't paying as close of attention as I should have been. Maybe. But, give me a reason to pay attention. Other than, hey, would you like some boobies with that movie of yours? Yeah, no, it was pretty bad. And then, as I mentioned, the dialogue was just terrible. There's one scene which I don't really know if this was intentional or not, as far as, because obviously like I said, the main character goes batshit insane at the end, starts killing people. So maybe she was in on it or something, and that's why she was gaslighting this chick so hard. But she was being such a bitch to one of her friends. Her friend was like, "Hey, I think your dog just licked my feet while I was trying to go to sleep." She's like, "I don't have a dog," which, that's fair. That was a stupid remark. There hasn't been a dog the entire time in this house. Why would you think that a dog licked your feet? That's a stupid sentence. All right, do better, Sandra. I don't know if her name was Sandra. But then she's like, "Okay, well, if you don't have a dog in here, something licked my feet," which is unsettling. Okay, you're not gonna hear that and just be like, "Don't be dumb. Nothing licked your feet." Because, like, I feel like that's a pretty distinct feeling, right? Like, I wouldn't know. All right, don't get me wrong. All right, I'm no Quentin Tarantino. That's not exactly my thing, but I feel like you would know if something licked your foot, right? So, I don't quite understand why she was so. Don't be stupid. Nothing licked your foot. I don't have a dog, and she harped so hard on the fact that she didn't have a dog. She's like, "Yeah, I don't have a dog. When you find your phone, do me a favor and look up the words imaginary and dog." You stupid bitch. Yeah, look up imaginary and dog. You have to promise me that when we find your phone, you look up the words imaginary and dog. The roasts didn't even make any sense, because at a certain point, after she was like, "Okay, well then something licked my feet," like after she was told that there was no dog in the house, she was like, "Oh, okay, so it wasn't a dog, but it was something." And her her friends just mocking her mercilessly for no reason about the whole dog thing. And it's like, at a certain point, I get it. That was a stupid comment, but you're not at all concerned that something was in the house licking her feet. Like, the first thing that would come to mind is, okay, well, I don't have a dog, but there's probably neighbors somewhere around here. And I don't know, man. Cape Cod feels like creepy old person central. So there's got to be some old guy trying to gum down on Piggly Wigglies while women are sleeping. That would be my first thought. Like, I would be searching that house, which they do search the house, but yeah, she definitely doesn't take it as seriously as she should. But anyway, Kill Her Goats is a pretty terrible movie. Did I hate it? No, I actually didn't hate it, which I think is the unpopular opinion. I think most people that saw this movie really hated this movie. I actually didn't hate it. I think it's a fun enough time. I don't necessarily know or understand what happened, but it is what it is. I'll probably watch this movie again. That shows you how much I value my time, because I do acknowledge this is a very bad film, but there is something about it that's vaguely entertaining. Which is more than can be said for a lot of movies, including, like, the last movie I watched for the channel, Violent Shit the Movie. That was a terrible film. Terrible. And so's this, but there's something there are just little qualities between the two movies, even though I have a lot of the same criticisms with this movie that I did with Violent Shit the movie. There are little things in this movie that separate it from a movie like Violent Shit the movie. Things like, first of all, the movie doesn't take itself super seriously. It understands what it is. And I think that's one of this movie's greatest strengths, is that it's not trying to be a super serious movie. It's just not. Whereas a movie like Violent Shit the movie, it has this whole detective angle and these really heavy dialogue sequences, and oh my god, I'm thinking about the movie again. That movie makes you want to hang yourself from the rafters. It's terrible. I recommend no one to ever watch it. This movie, on the other hand, it's not super heavy in these stupid dialogue sequences that think they're a lot more intelligent than they really are. This movie gets it stupid. That is its biggest strength. I mean, double-bladed chainsaws. There's one killer who has this, like, big machete thing with these massive, like, teeth on one end. The weapons looked cool. The killers looked cool. The babes were hot. There was blood. There was gore. At a certain point, I don't hate this movie. So, I do think that this movie's going to sit around a 3.5 out of 10 for me, which might even be a little generous, but it gets a 3.5 because I do enjoy it. I don't hate this movie at all. I think a lot of people trash this movie a lot harder than I did, but I had a decent time watching it. So, just kind of something dumb that you can laugh along to and have an okay time with. That's my assessment of Kill Her Goats. If you can find it for free, or even if you can rent it, maybe give it a watch if that's your sort of thing. It's kind of my sort of thing. So, which I know I didn't give it a super sparkling review, that 3.5 out of 10. I know you're super tempted by that, but that is a pretty realistic score. It's just that it is kind of entertaining, so I can't hate it, and I don't hate it. It's no Violent Shit the movie, and it's no Halloween Ends, because fuck those two movies. But anyway, guys, I just watched this movie, and I got a little motivated to record a review, because this movie was goofy and trashy, and I just figured I'd put my opinion out there. Anyway, if you guys have seen it, what did you think about it? If you have any idea what happened in the end of this movie, feel free to let me know in the comments, because I have a less than no idea. I don't get why she went nutso at the end. But seriously, if you know, please let me know. Because that's probably the thing that bothers me the most about this movie, is it just does a terrible job explaining that. But anyway, guys, I'm going to go watch another movie now. So, catch you guys on the next one, whenever that may be.